says OBJ is going to take his time making this decision, where he'll end up, who he wants to play for. Always a good idea not to rush a big career choice. But, Coach, we are going to put you on the clock. Where do you think Odell should sign?
Well, to me, it's pretty obvious choice. I like Kansas City a lot for him. That to me is the best fit.
My God.
It gives him a chance to be explosive, to have a tremendous impact. He's not gonna be able to be double teamed very often, and there's so many broken plays within that system that he can make some big plays even if he's not running the right route, which seems to be a little bit of an issue of what he had in Cleveland. I don't think New England is a great fit at all without the presence of Tom Brady. When you bring in a receiver, and a receiver with a big personality, with a young quarterback, usually that doesn't work out too well. And we saw that in Cleveland, and the effect it had in Cleveland. Green Bay could work. Not my favorite spot. It makes the most sense to me in Kansas City.
See? You see what happens? We get Coach back in studio, and all of a sudden those takes sharpen right up. Great job, Coach Mangini.
Thanks.
Because everyone's going to say, oh, Nick, you're a homer, Nick. No. It's the Chiefs need a number 2 receiver. You know how I know it? They've told us. They last year, they were not in a good cap position, and they prioritized finding a way when it would have, the easiest thing to do last year would have been cut Sammy Watkins. Instead, they reworked the deal, kind of borrowed from future you to help present you, because they wanted to keep Watkins. Kelsey and Hill, best wide receiver, quarterback combo in the league the previous year was Mahomes-Hill, and Kelsey's been the best tight end in football for 5 years. Didn't matter. They knew that because of the attention those two guys draw, they need that secondary wide receiver to be able to make plays. McCole Hardman has not been that. Byron Pringle, God bless him, will never be that. Demarcus Robinson will never be that. So they showed their desperation at this back before Wilds, the offense fell off the cliff. When the offense was the number 1 offense in football, they still went out and signed Josh Gordon, who's played, hadn't played in a few years and hasn't been great in 2 presidential terms, because they need an infusion there. And so that's why the Chiefs should want Odell. The reason Odell should want the Chiefs is he has lived the number 1 wide receiver on a run-focused team with a limited quarterback life. He don't like that life. He just had his dad and LeBron throw napalm into that life. If he wanted that, he just stayed in Cleveland. Cleveland's got the same record as the Patriots. Cleveland's a run-first team. Cleveland, he's the number 1 receiving option. He didn't want that. So I guess my question would be, why, if he didn't like Cleveland, why would he like New England? If he didn't like Cleveland, why would he like New Orleans, who has even more of a limited quarterback situation? Why? I don't know, other than it's home in New Orleans, I suppose.
Well, look, the New England thing, and I hate to go up against Coach on this. It's like, obviously, Bill Belichick is not Kevin Stefanski. And I think that Bill Belichick would make it work. And if he didn't make it work, he'd say, you know what, Odell? You're probably better off somewhere else. I also think Bill Belichick and Josh McDaniels would make Odell a better player. But, Coach, that's what I want to zero in on. There's a lot of studies about business, and it's very big on, in order to make your business pop, you have to own what makes you different. So, the story of IKEA, the origin story of IKEA, when they first came out, it's like, oh, you make cheap furniture. All these other established furniture companies making a dining room table that you got to pass on to your great-grandchildren. It's like, we don't make cheap furniture. We make non-committal furniture for a mobile lifestyle. It's like, oh, you're right. You just, you have it for a little while and then you get rid of it. That's their big selling point, and that's their strength. It feels like that's happened a little bit with Odell, where it used to be like, he's an undisciplined route runner. Well, that's the negative side of it. And now people are spinning. It's like, you know what he's great at? Oh, when the play breaks down, when there's broken plays, he thrives at it. He's great. It's like, all right. So that, to me, makes me think 2 ways, and this is what I want your take on it. Does he need to get better at that and go to New England where it's like, hey, that's the route, run it perfectly and we'll hit you? Or no, does he have to find a situation that is conducive to his undisciplined route running or skill at making things happen?
Well, it would be great if he was willing to identify the things that were weaknesses of his and consistently work at them, and that would serve him extremely well and would go a long way. I don't think he's necessarily in that spot right now. He needs to go find a place that he can have an impact. He needs to go find a place where he can shine in whatever way that is. And Kansas City, to me, offers that best opportunity, because at the end of the season, I imagine he's going to be a free agent. I can't, it doesn't seem like this would be the time to sign a long-term deal. So if he can go somewhere, have an impact, be with a quarterback that's elite, be with a team that has a chance to pop offensively every single week where you're not getting double coverage, and then he comes out on the other side with the opportunity to choose any team and get a significant amount of money, that I imagine is his goal right now, as opposed to short-term positive gains on the way that he plays.
And I want to, correct's the wrong word, but I want to clarify some things about Odell here. Because let's be honest, Odell's 5'11" and ran a 4.4. So 4.4 is fast-ish, but it's not blazer. And 5'11" is undersized. So how was he so great? Once upon a time, Odell Beckham Jr. was an incredibly precise route runner. Odell Beckham Jr., that's what made him so great, was he could take a easy slant route to the house. I mean, I remember, this feels like, God, it feels like a lifetime ago, but I remember watching him work out in person in LA, spend 90 minutes just on where he wants his right hand when his left foot plants. So he was something of a technician. I would argue, Coach, and tell me if you've seen this happen, that for a receiver, when you're not getting the ball, that stuff tends to wane a bit. Your attention to detail and precision, when A, you're not getting targeted, and B, when you are getting targeted, very often it's over your head or it's at your feet or it's not where it was supposed to be. You're not as crisp with those details. So I've always thought in New England with Brady, yes, I'm sure they teach great routes, but I also think the receivers are incentivized to run great routes because they know if I'm where I'm supposed to be, Tom's putting it where he's supposed to be. Like, I think that's something of a circular thing. And so the idea that Odell's always just been this freelancer kind of lazy route runner, I'm not saying you were saying that. That's not his actual history, at least to my eyes, watching the league.
Well, look, Nick, I think great players are constantly trying to improve the things that they can control. And sometimes you're in situations where the quarterback isn't what you hope, or the routes aren't what you prefer. But the great players are always trying to figure out what I can do better so that when I have an opportunity, sure, I can succeed. And I think it's problematic if your reaction to I'm not having the success I want is I'm going to work less. To me, that's counterproductive. That's totally both fair. From a team perspective and from a personal perspective.
That's 100%
Again,
fair.
Odell
and that
is
definitely
going to
happen, Jenna.
Yeah. Spend some time, take some time, not rushing into this decision. He wants to wait and see where he wants to end up. Maybe it is with the Chiefs. Maybe it's not. Speaking of the Chiefs, our friends at Fox Bet Sportsbook have Kansas City as 2.5-point road favorites headed into Las Vegas Sunday night. Says a lot about the Chiefs. Coach will say a lot about why Nick should be on upset alert.